Welcome to the Pensacola Expert Panel. We have Travis Thompson here, the owner of Climatech, a first-time guest. I always love having new guests on the show because I always learn so much. That's what I say. I learn so much every single day on this show, and I know we're going to learn a lot from you today, so welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. I like being here.
How are you doing today? Even though it's a gloomy day, we're still here.
Doing good. Yeah, it's weather's a little crazy right now. Had a lot of rain yesterday. Had a flood to deal with last night at the house, but we're here. We're gonna make it.
Oh yeah, I know. It's like the worst. I hate when that happens. Nothing is worse than what happened in 2014.
That's true.
So I'll take anything else because I always remember that day. But we're going to be going over a couple of topics today. So why don't we dive right in?
Sure.
The first thing was you wanted to look at different kind of AC systems.
Yeah, we get a lot of different questions, and it's hard to explain to a customer in a very short period of time the difference in air conditioning systems available today. We get a lot of questions about SEER ratings and what that is. Heat pumps in general still are questioned by some people as to how they work, how they operate. Is it the right thing to do? And those questions, they can get in depth. So that's why, being able to talk here, I think, was an opportunity to be able to talk about stuff that we don't normally get the time to do. And I think air conditioning systems in general are misunderstood by a lot of people. They don't deal with them unless they're broke. So, it's
out of sight, out of mind.
That's right. You don't think about your AC until it's not working, and then it's the most important thing in your life. So, in general, heat pumps and gas systems, residentially speaking, are the two that we deal with the most. Heat pumps have come a long, long way since I started putting them in as a young boy. When they were first introduced, they were not liked. They were not something that worked all that well, to be honest. So they got a bad reputation early. And a lot of people that may have dealt with that situation still don't trust them. Today, that's the only thing I would have in my home would be a heat pump. Nothing wrong with gas. I like gas as well. But no reason to do electric heat anymore. That's an option that's kind of been done away with in the residential market. So that's something that, I'd like to be able to explain to people on a more open platform to explain how a heat pump works and why they've gotten better.
Well, we do have a phone call before we dive into that, and they want to join in on the conversation. It's David from Gulf Breeze, so welcome to the show.
All right. Well, I'm glad to be able to call the show, and I'm enjoying it so far. And I'd like to kind of use the information that your guest has to ask him a question about air conditioning, but it's kind of more about air conditioning ductwork. And since he doesn't sell this particular service, I'm pretty sure he can give me an honest opinion about it. Let's say an older house that had AC put in, 25 years ago, just a moderate size house, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, typical kind of mid-level house. Do you think it's worth the money to have the people come in? They spray like an aerosol or something in your ductwork, and they say it seals up all the tiny little holes and
Correct.
seams and stuff like that.
Air seal, yes, sir. That is a product that it can be effective. Every house is different. One of the biggest things we see as a fault in air conditioners in general is the duct system design. Obviously I haven't seen your house, but I would be more concerned, first of all, with the design of the duct system before I spent money to seal up something that might not have been put in right the first time. We see a lot of...
I see what you're saying, especially on an older house. You get up there and look at how large the stuff is, what kind of branches it has, that kind of thing. That's what you're talking about when you're talking about design, right?
Correct, absolutely. The size of all that is very relevant to how the system will work. And there's a lot of cases we see people try to put very efficient systems in. But if you're putting that system on a duct system that's inferior or that was built differently than it should have been from the beginning, you're really just spinning your wheels. You're not going to get anywhere with that system, and you're not going to get near the efficiency out of it. And indoor air quality is going to be related to that as well.
Right. I see what you're saying. Even if it's perfectly sealed at 100%, if it's not designed right, it's still not going to function the way you want it to if it's sealed or not sealed. So
that is correct.
That's good advice. Let me ask one other follow-up question.
Mm-hmm.
What's your general opinion about the units they have now that are ductless? You have to kind of put a little bit of an ugly item in the room somewhere, and then I guess you still have an outdoor air handler or whatever. Do you have much experience with those? Do you think those are good or not so good, or what do you think about those?
I do. I like them very much. They're a very good. The thing I'll say about those first is they have to be installed correctly. That is a huge thing. We're seeing them now where you can buy them yourself and do them from Home Depot, and we've ran into several customers that are not very happy because they were put in. There's some design features that go into that. But when you mention the ones that are ugly, that is a wall mount unit that you're referring to, which is basically an indoor air handler that hangs on your wall. And that type of system has come a long way in the last few years, and we've now got systems that are available that mount flush with your ceiling. They've actually even got a ducted version of a ductless unit. Now, that sounds a little crazy, but you can.
So you don't have to see it. It's hidden up in the attic, right?
Not necessarily, right. If you've got access, you can. And that's something people really like because you can have the flexibility of zoning your house, and each room can actually have its own small air conditioner.
Yeah. Now, let me ask you, see, I didn't know, I haven't seen one of those in years. I saw some of the earlier ones, that are kind of ugly and obtrusive, like you were saying.
Right.
So, but now the ones that are flush mount stuff, they still have to have like a secondary unit outside somewhere to dump the hot air. Isn't that right? Or can they do everything from up in the attic? Or they still need another thing outside somewhere, don't they?
That's right. You do have a separate unit outside,
okay.
And you can actually have one outdoor unit with multiple indoor units running off that same outdoor.
Oh, I see what you're saying. So you could have like 3 different ones, and then just one box outside that's going to be doing your, the ugly box outside that you got to have to.
That's
dump
correct.
The hot air out.
That's right. We've got one now.
Okay,
we're doing.
Well, listen, I'm thinking instead of fixing my ducts, I might just convert to a ductless system. But I'm enjoying the show. I'm going to hang up and listen, and maybe someone else will call with a good question for y'all. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much, David. Again, if you have a question or a comment, you can always give us a call or give us a text message. It is a call-in show, 850-437-1620, 850-437-1620. We were talking about the heat pump in the home, and I kind of want to go back to the importance of that.
Sure. No, the heat pump, again, goes to what he was just referring to, even in the split systems, the mini splits they call them, or ductless systems. But a heat pump is able to extract the heat from the air outside. And even in what we consider cold weather, 30 degrees, there's heat in the outdoor air. So that unit is able to run a compressor at far less amperage, far less wattage, and produce heat to the house. Now, with the upgrades they've made to the new refrigerants we're using, as well as getting the coil designs better, they're able to extract more and more air out of that heat. Now, they've actually done with some of the more efficient units with the variable speed compressors, variable speed fans, those things are able to heat down into the 20s without using any supplemental backup electric heat. And if we can heat a house with just a compressor, and we don't see very much temperature below 20s in our area, so we can heat the house without having, that drafty feeling people are used to with a heat pump that's kicking in and out of electric heat strips and going into defrost. That's what people don't like. They feel that kind of luke air. It's not warm. It's not hot. But with some of the newer systems, you're able to really drive a lot of heat and lower the fan speed, giving you that really warm feeling coming straight out of the vents as opposed to what we've had in the past.
Interesting. So will that save you kind of some money in the future?
Very much, very much. You don't want to run on heat strips if you don't have to.
Absolutely. You were kind of talking about a SEER rating, and that's something, I've never been a homeowner.
Right.
I rent now, so I don't know if this is something I just haven't been exposed to. But what is that, and what's the importance of that?
Well, your SEER rating is it's an efficiency rating, and the SEER is a seasonal energy efficiency ratio, is a technical term, but all it is it's a glimpse of the unit over a season of cooling and how much cooling it will provide over a season and how much energy it will cost you to do that. So it's kind of looking at an average of a whole year as opposed to the other term you may hear is EER, which is just energy efficiency rating, and that's going to be kind of a snapshot of what a unit can do with a given temperature outside as opposed to a season of temperature swings.
All right, awesome. Well, if you're just tuning in, we're talking to Travis Thompson. He is the owner of Climatech. And if you have a question or a comment, give us a call or a text at 850-437-1620. We did have a text message that came through and said, my AC freezes up from time to time. It seems to be more when the weather changes. Is it a sign of a bigger problem in my home?
Icing units can be multiple problems. It's really going to be narrowed down to probably one of two things. Losing refrigerant will be one of them that will cause a unit to ice up. So if it's icing up and somebody's having to add refrigerant, a refrigeration circuit is a sealed circuit. If you're having to add refrigerant, you have a leak. It doesn't just seep out. It's leaking. But if that's not the case, the other thing we see quite a bit is airflow problems. And that opens up a big can of worms because airflow problems can be caused by a dirty filter, too small of a return air, not getting enough air into the unit. Duct system, like the caller mentioned, maybe be designed wrong on the supply side. So any of those things that can restrict a dirty coil, anything that can restrict airflow, that's going to bring that temperature down to a freezing point, and the unit will eventually ice up. So it could be one of those two, but that's typically where it's going to be.
All righty. Again, 850-437-1620, 850-437-1620. You wanted to go over kind of some basic filtration in the house and mistakes that you see kind of every day. Yeah,
that's kind of that text we were just mentioning. We see a lot of customers, you see the advertisements on TV and they talk about the great filters that they have. Well, I use it when I talk to customers kind of as a joke, but the best filter in the world's a piece of cardboard. It works great. It doesn't let any dirt through. Well, guess what? It doesn't let air through either. So filters, they're designed to be a certain size filter depending on how much air you're pulling through it, and each one of them's different. So if you've got just your standard typical, 24 by 12 return air grill, which is what we see in so many houses, and your unit already needs a bigger filter, and then you go to Home Depot and buy this great HEPA filter and stick it in there, well, now you've got airflow problems. And, you may not, everybody just thinks about the dirt it stops, and that's great. But if we're going to use higher filtration filters, we have to have more surface area for that air to come through the filter. So that's just something that has to be taken into account, and most people don't. They just stick a better filter in.
Huh. So you see that every single day.
Yes, that's a very common.
I probably have that same problem at my home. Another text message came through. Do you recommend adding bleach occasionally?
I do not recommend adding bleach.
And I've never heard of that.
Well, it's a very common thing. It's been done for a long time, and bleach is effective at doing what it does. The only thing that I want to be careful of, when people say add bleach, I've had customers tell me, well, I add a cup of bleach every month. I'm like, you give a full cup of bleach? Don't do that. That's excessive. And bleach is corrosive. It'll actually break down the PVC glue on your drain. You don't want to dump it in your yard. They do make products that you can put in the drain pan itself that will safely keep the algae from growing and not have to use bleach.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, that sounds like it could be dangerous.
Well, a lot of people will mix the bleach with water, and that they can do what they want to do, but we have to be safe, and I don't want to recommend that a bunch of people pour bleach in their drain because that stuff's going in the ground, and it's just something we have to be conscious of. So doing it with a tablet or a liquid that's made to put in the pan, and another thing about the bleach is most people put it in the drain line. And a lot of the clogs that we see are actually right where the pan meets the drain line. So even if your drain line is clear, your pan may get a bunch of sludge in it that stops the water from ever getting to the drain line. So you've still got the same clog problem. You didn't go far enough back. So treating it at the drain pan with something built for that is definitely the better way to go. And one other thing while I'm on that is the bleach can actually deteriorate some of the items inside your AC unit. So if that bleach is sitting there and the bleach vapors can cause harm to some of the galvanized and other things that may be used in some of the units and eat your coil up. So definitely want to be careful with the bleach thing.
Yeah, definitely. Again, 850-437-1620. If you have a comment or a question for Travis from Climatech. I know that it's the time of year. It's winters. People are kind of, running their heaters, then back to AC, cool, hot, cool, hot. What should people be doing now to kind of, I don't know, should they be servicing their AC before it gets into the hot weather, or what should people be doing now?
This is a great time of year to do that. Right now, you don't think about it. Like we said, it's not broke. You don't fix it. But as we get into the warmer weather, everybody's breaks at the same time, it seems, and then everybody's running around with their hair on fire. So yeah, it's
drenched in sweat.
We're very seasonal. Everybody is in our business. It's always better when the customers can get more out of us. We can spend more time. We can, really do everything we need to do to make sure everything's clean and running like it should. One of the biggest things we see that kills air conditioning systems is dirt. I mean, the indoor units, if your filter doesn't stop the dirt, your coil probably does. So most of the time we'll see dirty indoor coils start to accumulate a lot of dirt. Therefore, they get mold spores. They start to build mold. So we see a lot of that. Same way with the outdoor units. They pretty much get neglected, but keeping them rinsed out will keep them from corroding and keep the heat transfer much better to keep your unit more efficient.
Alrighty. So when people leave and go to work or whatever they do during the day, I know I've heard a million different things you should keep your house on 78 or 77, or what should people be doing to save the most money?
Well, I don't recommend that you go way up or way down with your air temperature. Your house is going to hold the temperature that you keep it at for a pretty good bit of time. So, and that study's been done. Man, that's kind of like, should you eat an egg or not? 1 week it's good for you, next week it's bad for you. Same thing with that. I mean, you can read so many different things on how to set your temperature and how much money it saves you, but every house is so different. I typically recommend maybe a couple of degrees, bumping it up in the summer, but having it come back down before you get home. With some of the new variable speed systems we're seeing, they're actually better off to just leave it at one temperature. So it's always a little bit different, but I don't ever recommend you just turn it way up and then let the unit try to catch up 7, 8, 10 degrees. That's a pretty good bit on a unit to try to make up for.
Alrighty. Again, 850-437-1620. I asked that question because I live with 2 other roommates. And so everybody's always having a battle. And then you get that text message, who did this? Whatever. It's like the battle of the thermostat or the battle of the heater. One person's freezing, one person's sweating, and then our power bill goes up every single month. And we're like, we got to get to the root of the problem. And that's why I say I have the experts that come on my show and tell me the correct answer. So you got to listen to us. I love it. We were talking a little bit before about mini split systems and the importance of that, and I wanted to kind of dive more into that and cover that if you wanted to.
Yeah, we're just, matter of fact, we were talking to a gentleman this morning who's doing a system. It's going to be 4 different zones, and he's adding basically a small apartment to his house with a workout room. So some of the rooms there are going to be more of a bedroom that he wants to keep very aesthetically pleasing and make it look nice. And for those indoor units, we're going to use the ceiling cassettes. So it'll be basically a flush mount ceiling piece in his ceiling that nobody really notices, and they go away. And then the gym portion, we're going to do the hang-on-the-wall units. They're a little more affordable. They are a little bit intrusive. They stick off the wall a little bit, but they're still clean looking. So we're going to have him 4 systems and only 1 outdoor unit. So as guests come and go, if the bedroom's being used and that's the only room, he can heat and cool only that room, and the other 3 can stay at whatever he'd like to leave them at. So having that flexibility with the mini splits now, they're also a great solution for like enclosed patios. We see that quite a bit. People want to enclose their patio and glass it in. And to do spot cooling like that, when you've got just one room that didn't have air before, you can add it. And another reason for doing that there is if you try to take a glassed in room and just heat and cool it with the AC system you already have, that AC system is going to look at the thermostat that's in the house. Well, when you have a room that's full of glass, it's going to heat up and cool down a lot faster than the other part of the house. So you'll never have that same temperature in the house that you do in that glassed room if you're using the same thermostat to control it. So putting a little mini split out there with just a single head in a room like that is a very effective way of doing that as well.
All right, perfect. We do have another question that came through. How do newer systems handle humidity in our area?
Wow, that's a great one. Well, the way air conditioning systems were designed years ago, I'll go back, say, 15 years ago, your AC system has to be designed for the hottest day of the year. That's what it's designed to cool your house during that hottest day. The problem with that is if it's a 3-ton system, it comes on and does 3 tons of cooling and then turns back off. We have a very high humidity level in our area, but what happens is if that unit doesn't run long enough to take the humidity out of the house, then you've got a problem. Your humidity starts to build up. The newer systems that are available today, either a staged system that, say you've got a 3-ton, can run as a 2-ton or a 3-ton. It not only saves money by only running as a 2-ton, it's also able to run longer to remove more humidity out of the house. Taking that a step further, you've got the variable speed systems where the compressor is variable speed as well. The unit may not shut off all day. It runs all day, and a lot of people get kind of weirded out about that and say, well, it's going to take a lot of energy. The problem is you take so much energy to start a unit that by not turning it on and off, we're saving a lot of money because we're running at a lot lower energy consumption, and we just kind of run all day, but that lets us remove humidity all day. So we see a lot more humidity control with the systems that are available today than in years past.
Alrighty, perfect. And we're coming up on about 2.5 minutes left in the show, but I want to get to this one question. When quoting the cost of multiple mini splits, does it also include the necessary electrical work required?
That's kind of tricky because the outdoor unit has to be supplied with a disconnect by an electrician legally. And then the indoor units, we run the power from the outdoor unit to the indoor unit. So the only thing you need when installing a mini split is the power put to the outdoor unit. And if you've already got that, if you're replacing an old system, you may already have it there. But that's how we have to quote it. You know, the electrician gets power to the outside, but we can take care of all the inside work.
I love it. Well, we've gone through this whole show and we haven't told anybody where to contact you. So if you're just tuning in, we're talking to Travis from Climate Tech. What is your phone number, your website? How can people get your services?
Sure. Our website is climatechproair.com, and that's CLIMATECH, climatechproair.com, and our phone number is 850-857-4700.
I love it. How long have you been in business?
Oh, my dad started in 78, so I was 2, so it's been around over 40 years now.
It's been around over 40 years, so you kind of grew up in this work. You've been working with him, so you learned everything from him.
Yeah, I did. I learned my work ethic and all that stuff from him. It wasn't a choice, so we just went at it.
All righty. So what is the area you kind of service? Escambia, Santa Rosa?
Yep, that's right. I mean, we get down to as far as Navarre's kind of pushing it, and then we go to the Alabama line. Okay,
perfect. So how long what's your turnaround time right now if somebody needs to call you and needs some of your services today?
We always try to get to a customer that needs us that day.
Okay.
We always, if you've got an emergency, we do what we have to do to get to you that day.
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, your home is your biggest investment. Your HVAC system is something that you really need to take care of. And like we were saying earlier, out of sight, out of mind is usually for some people, but you need to be proactive. Don't call, Climate Tech on July 3rd when your HVAC system is whacking out and you need AC for your 4th of July party.
It'll happen and we'll get there, but that's all right.
You'll get there and you'll take care of them, but you need to be proactive about all of this. So smart. Give them a call today, this week, and get it serviced, and then make sure you're done for the rest of the year unless something crazy happens. So give everybody your information one more time.
It's Travis. I'm a Climate Tech of Professional Air, 850-857-4700.
And check them out on the web?
Yep, climatechproair.com.
Well, thank you so much for being here. This is also going to be available on our website if you missed any part of this at newsradio1620.com, so you can check it out and make sure that you give Climate Tech a call. We have Emerald Coast Coins coming up next.